be seated. This morning we celebrate the Feast of St. Michael and All Angels, and one of the hidden things in this celebration is that of evangelism. It's okay to talk about war breaking out in heaven and Michael and the angels fighting against the devil and all of these other things. However, if we look at the gospel for the day, we see Philip calling Nathanael to come and see a man, because that is the portion of the scripture that is missing. Come and see a man, not me, but another man. When I was using my voice to do other things, I came across an anthem for Easter. Come and see, go and tell. The King of Kings is alive and well. Once you hear the story, you can't keep it to yourself. So come and see, go and tell. The thing is, how many of us come and see and go and tell anything? How many people tell anybody about God? How many of us are willing this morning to give a testimony? Any takers? Any yeses? Yes? So if I ask you to come forward and give a testimony, you'll do that for me? So don't waste no time. You can use my microphone, or I can use the one over there.
But in fact, after that, all types of prayers went up locally, across the United States, England, and I can guess probably Canada. And it is those prayers, I believe, that brought me back. Because when you're being shut down, and nobody can get what you started, and your body will just take all types of medication. It tells you then that the praise to the Almighty works. And I can testify that this whole question of prayer and praising is real. And I believe that we as people, we have to be cognizant of the fact that Jesus spoke about praise and praying, and that it helps. And I am 100% convinced that those prayers that were offered on my behalf, that those were responsible for my being here today, and my gradually getting back to a certain point in heaven. I've not reached back where I was before September 23rd, 2011, but I am here and I'm still doing almost everything I was doing before. So I have a strong belief in prayer, and I believe that prayer is the answer to everything.
My brothers and sisters in Christ. There's so many testimonies that I can give, but the one that I'm going to give is when I became pregnant at 39-40. And everyone was saying to me, you wait till now to get a baby? You choose to get a baby at this time in your life? That is going to be so hard for you. And my job entailed standing all day. I had to climb stairs to get to work, and I had to descend those stairs again at the end of the day. And I will continue to go to work every day, climb those stairs, and do work as though I was 20 years old. I continue the same way that I did. And every time I go to my doctor, he was like, I can't believe. Even in my last trimester, he was like, your pressure has remained so good. Your pregnancy is so well. I am appalled. But I knew it was the grace of God. And then about a month before I was supposed to have baby. I remembered going downstairs early in the evening, and going back in. And then the night I had this bad pain. I called my doctor and he said, get to the hospital and walk with your bag. You're not going back home, you need rest. So I went to the hospital and he said, you need rest because you're going and you won't stop. So I'm going to give you 2 weeks in the hospital, you need to rest. I had that 2 weeks, and then after I said I want to go back to work. He said, well, if you go back to work, when you go up those stairs, don't come back down until you're ready to leave. I went back to work, and I worked right through. I went up and down the stairs as though nothing had happened. I came to church this Sunday, and he said to me, get to the hospital by 6:30 the evening. I did that, and I had my daughter on the Tuesday evening. But during visitation, persons were coming and they were, you're not scared? At this age, you should be scared. And I didn't know what to expect. But when my doctor came in and it was time for me to go down to delivery, I remembered as if I saw a light, this bright light. And then I found myself all the way down to the delivery room singing Breathe on Me, Breath of God. And that was my hymn from the time I left the ward into the delivery room. And when the doctor came in, he said, Dawn, don't do anything. The head is there. Give me time to get my things sorted out and I will come to you. And I had a safe delivery, no problems. And I knew it was the grace of God.
I would say that I have always trusted God and I have always believed in God. But I believe sometimes you have an experience that tests your faith. And I think that my faith was tested a year ago, actually September, a year ago, when I had to have a cornea transplant. I did not share it with everyone because of the seriousness of it, and I really did not want to deal with people saying negative things, although I had to, because some people who were not aware of what was actually happening to me at the time would say things to me like, you can't see or you can't read, and that was what was actually happening with me. I couldn't read. For me to read anything, I had to write it with a marker as big as ever. Fell twice on Baxter's Road. You could imagine falling on Baxter's Road. Everybody would say, didn't you feel shame? I just got up, I kept walking, but I must say that now I can see very well, and there were many people out there who were praying for me. As a Kawanian, I know one of our members, especially Kay Annette, a prayer warrior, always praying, and I know there were many prayers that went up for me, many prayers that went about my church, and it has caused me to be also more sensitive to people, especially those who cannot see very well. Simple things like probably having a strip of black and yellow on stairs. As simple as that scene, that is very important, I would say, for the elderly or people who are having difficulty seeing. So this morning I can say that I have a song in my heart, and my song is much stronger because of what I have experienced. Thank you.
Good morning, church. On the 23rd of August, I was 70 years old. I was so excited about my birthday. I celebrated it with some of my friends, and it was excellent. I came through life so hard, working hard, and at 70, I developed bad circulation in my feet. But I am thankful to God that I can walk on them this morning. And church, I am proud of being 70. I was excited, so excited. My friends that came with me on the 23rd would tell you what a wonderful time I had, and I'm looking forward to be 80 and in the same condition. Thank you.
So praise be this morning. Yes, please.
Good morning. I can say I have many testimonies, but this one remains with me most through all the years. I don't know if y'all remember the morning that had the minibus accident in St. James, where one minibus collided with the other and turned over and the lady got killed. I was working in St. James at the time, and on that morning, on mornings I would take a minibus, and on that morning walking down Swan Street, I heard a voice say to me, "Don't catch a minibus this morning." And I didn't pay attention at first, but when I coming to the bottom of Swan Street, I heard the voice again, "Don't take a minibus this morning." And I turned to walk to Baxter's Road to catch a transport board bus when it came up. One of the minibuses that I catch came down, and it was full. The guy stopped, "You aren't going down this morning?" I said, "No, I ain't ready yet, go on." And when I got a little further up, the second one came that I usually catch. If I didn't catch that one came down too. The guy stopped. He said, "You aren't going down with me this morning?" I said, "No, I ain't ready yet, go on." And you don't know when the bus got to, don't remember the name. But anyhow, some person said to the bus driver, I was in transport board bus then, "You have to go up through Westmoreland because there's an accident further down the road." When the bus went through Westmoreland and came out, and I went into work, and while going in, some person said, "Too many buses collided and turned over and a woman dead." I went and put down my bag at work and I ran back up the road. And when I got to the scene of the accident, I almost dropped dead because both minibuses that I could have been in one were in the accident. And I have so much to thank God for this morning. But as I say, there are many more, but that one stands out, and I can thank and praise God, and that brought me much more closer to God. Thank you.
Good morning, my brothers and sisters in Christ. October 11th, 2003, I got married to my husband James. And 5 months thereafter, I had a serious fall. As a result of that fall, I discovered I had a very deadly disease. And that's 5 months into my marriage. As a result of that, I had an operation on April the 6th, 2004. And they had given me only 5 years to live. I remember the doctor saying, well, based on that, we can only give you 5 years to live. And my mother was in the room with me, as well as my husband. And I looked at my mother and I asked her, what he mean? What does he mean by 5 years?
Actually, she asked me, how long is 5 years?
So, after that, imagine on April the 6th, I had surgery, which was a major surgery. And on May the 15th, 2004, I then had a major op.
Second one.
The second one. Now, I was not fully healed at that point in time. My wounds were still raw, and they decided at that point in time that it was time to do a second op. And they also wanted to do exploration surgery, which would involve me being sliced in half basically. And I remember my cousin Shirley, we were very, very close. And she came to look for me. And she could not believe that I wasn't crying. I was happy and bubbly and joyful. And I asked her, why are you crying? You know, oh ye of little faith, why are you crying? And I remember my cousin, because here it is, everybody attending this beautiful wedding in this church. And now they're being told that I only have 5 years to live. I had a cousin that was so angry with God. He was mad. He was really upset. And He did not speak to me, but I sent a message by my mom, and I said to my mom, tell him, who is he to question God? And as a result of that, I have changed so many lives in my family, because right now we are stronger because of God. But the greatest miracle, I had 2 miracles out of this. No, 3 actually. I remember when we went to do all the tests and so forth to decide, okay, what type of treatment to give me. There was an older lady there. She came into the room and she was mad. She was really, really angry. And I said to her, what's wrong with you today? You know why I'm here, she said. I said, I believe I'm here too for the same reason. She said, well, they told me I don't have much time to live. I said, well, they gave me 5 years. And she looked at me and said, but why are you not angry? I said to her, did you not wake up this morning? She said, yes. I said, aren't you breathing? She said, yes. I said, can't you see? She said, yes. And I said, but some persons, they wake this morning. And she said, well, she never looked at it that way. You know, but I said, you need to be grateful for what you have. Someone is more worth off than you are. And as a result of that, I did have some risk, because here is a young lady just married to a beautiful husband, and you know, there were family divisions, this young lady on the verge of death. And a lot of persons did not understand how this young couple could survive everything, because as a result of that, the decision that both of us took together, I cannot have children. And what James said to me at that point in time, I prefer to have a wife. You know, and I decided there and then, okay, together we said, okay, we'll have the second op. But the first miracle that came out of it is that when the results came back from the second op, it was like nothing had happened. The doctors were speechless. It took them approximately 6 weeks to bring back my results, because when they brought back the results, there wasn't anything there. They could not understand what happened. And as a result of that, the doctor, the surgeon that was in charge, he went and gave his life to Christ, because he said that could only be a miracle. And during that period, when it was time for me to prepare myself for treatments, when I went, I was staying at my mom. And one night, I was in my bed. They called that the holy room at my mom, the sacred room. And there was a light that traveled from the crown of my head to the sole of my feet. And I saw that light travel slowly. It traveled down, and then it traveled back up. And I was working in conjunction with the doctors from Bayview, QEH, as well as my homeopathic doctor. And when she took my reading, she said, there isn't anything wrong with you. And every day that I went for my treatments, the doctors there said they don't understand me. Persons come into that room, they're sad, they're depressed. And my mom will tell you, every day I went for treatments. The poster girl. They call me the poster girl. They call me there. I dressed like if I was going to a banquet. I had on my famous hat. And anyone that came into the room that seemed like depressed, down-spirited, I found that as my role, even though I was going through the same thing. I'm staying out there receiving treatments. I was there just making them smile, laugh, and give them a reason to just say, you know, you have today. But the last miracle out of that is that there were a group of us together that went through this exercise. And I'm the only survivor today. Every one of them had passed away. And then I met a young lady that came into my life. And we worked very closely together. And then she got diagnosed with a similar thing. And you don't survive. And she was very angry at work. And I said to her, I was overseas studying, and my admin officer called me and said, I need you to come home. I know you're studying, but I need you to come home. And I was at work. She refused to go to the doctor. She refused. And then when she told me what had happened, she worked in my office and there was a plant in there. And this is a plant that they usually say that it tells you what's going on with your body basically. And it caught fungus. All the windows in the room caught fungus because it's taking what you're breathing out. I said to her, you really need to go to the doctor. When she got to the doctor and she came back, she sat in the office suddenly and she called me. And she said, they told me I'm dying. And I asked her, do you have faith? She said, yes, I have faith. I said to her, well, I can sense you have anger, but you need to put all positive energies into your life, and you need to focus on Christ, and only Christ. And she is living today. And actually, doctors do not understand what happened to her, but it has changed her outlook on life totally. And I think that what has happened to me, yes, most persons will say, okay, they will be angry at that, but for me, I think it was one of those trials and tribulations that I had to go through. And I know that through all the prayer warriors, because I have prayer warriors just like Dennis from England, UK, you had States, America, I even have family that came and looked for me, and I have changed their lives. And I find that for me, I think my role in life is to, where persons see that they're down, is for me to bring light into their life. And that was not possible through Jesus Christ. Thank you.
So I had to come with my own testimony, because I know when I don't get up and say nothing. But I guess this in itself is testimony to what we are called to as church. Because we need to be passionate. We need to have some sort of conviction. If that is missing, if we cannot tell people about God and we depend on coming and hymns and all these other things, then we will not bring anybody to God. Because that is what evangelism is about. Evangelism is not about getting people to come to church. It is about telling people about the workings of God that you can speak about. We speak passionately about so many other things, and they don't mean anything. I came across a story a few weeks ago about a man who moved from, I think it was the Ukraine, to the US. And he wrote back to his family, he said, America is indeed a wonderful place. You need to get here as soon as possible. Everything that you can imagine, they can provide. There's a wonderful place called a supermarket. And there are some marvelous things in this supermarket. In his letter he said, I went down one aisle and there was oranges in a package. You just add water and you had orange juice. In another aisle there were potatoes in a package. You just add water and you got potatoes. In the other aisle, there was baby powder. And they all came to America. Because he had conviction. When we can speak about God in that way, we too can bring people to God. It's not about bringing people to church. It's about bringing them to God. And the thing is, three things happen, or three things should happen. There's discovery. God discovers us where we are, either good or bad, in a good situation, a bad situation, pleasant or not pleasant. God makes the initial step. That is the first step. The thing is, when we are discovered, there's some sort of capturing that happens. And not a capturing like a lion out of the wilderness that is in a cage. Not the capturing of wild animals, but a capturing You know when you fall in love? That's sort of capturing. Where your heart is, she said, when your heart starts to, okay? And there is this feeling that you need to express. That is how God captures us. The thing is, when we are discovered, when we are captured, the next step is a decision. God discovered lots of people. Moses, Noah, Matthew, Nathaniel, Philip, Mary. And the other step was a decision. And we need to ask ourselves, what is that decision? The decision has to be to follow. You see, God is calling all of us. It is not that he calls some and he don't call others. He's calling all. The thing is, are we willing to respond? That was a question. Are we willing to respond? Are we willing to respond? You sure? I had to beg you all for that. You don't believe it. The thing is, we need to understand why God is calling us. Because God has something prepared for us. There's a hymn, Softly and Tenderly. Y'all know that hymn? Yes. We can sing it? We don't say yes, let me sing it. No, not so. We gotta sing it together. Softly and tenderly, Jesus is calling, calling for you and for me. See on the portals, he's waiting and watching, watching for you and for me. Come home, come home, oh, weary, come home, earnestly, tenderly, Jesus is calling, calling, oh sinner, come home. We need to be willing to answer that call. Because it is only through faith that we can answer. We had persons that stood before you this morning and spoke of God. But the thing is, we speak of everything and everybody else except God. If we concentrate our efforts on God, church will be better. You will be better. Life will be better. Instead of talking about things that we heard from somebody, that hear them from somebody, that hear them from somebody else, that get told by somebody that didn't there, as if we were there and deal with God, things will be different. Because it is through faith. Faith leads to a response. Remember the fourth time when God called Samuel and he said, "Speak, Lord, your servant is listening." Are we listening to God? If we are, then we need to give the appropriate response. God is still working miracles. Okay? And I believe that. And I want you to believe that as well. We have one other person here who wants to share with us, and then I will tell you something else.
Morning, church. I was going to stand in my seat and speak because I have a very strong voice, but I walked out here because at the age of 54, I could not walk. And the reason for this, in my job, I had a very strenuous job. I was in the Army. And I was lowering the flag one evening, and we have to be very upright and moving. And as I stepped off, a pebble about this big rolled under my boot and threw me on my behind. Didn't feel anything. I left the cadet headquarters and I went over to our headquarters, went and joined the fellows, washed my car, hold down, washed 2 wheels, 2 tires, turned to the 3rd one, and could not get back up. I literally crawled on my all fours to get into my vehicle and all the water that was around from the washing the cars. And I literally crawled on my all fours to get into my car. But stubborn me, having a medical station at the headquarters, I drove home. Could not get off my bed the next morning. I called a soldier, he calls me his adopted mom. And I said to him, come and take me to where I cannot drive. All this time I'm not telling my daughter anything. She's in the house with me. I'm not telling her anything. Gone into the medical station. They did all sorts of massages and heat and so on. Still having these pains. And I crying in pain. Anyhow, they decided to send me to the physiotherapist, Jackie King. Jackie sent me to get some x-rays and so on. Nothing happened, nothing showed. Nobody could understand why I was in so much pain. Anyhow, she started to put me in something called a traction. This traction took this part of my body and pulled it away from that part of my body. And it was a machine that I was upright, so it used to stretch me. Still in pain. They sent me to get her MRI, and they realized that that fall had moved toward my disc. Jackie kept doing the physio, but she said to me eventually I will have to get surgery. Now, I am a born-again Christian, and my faith went downhill. Anyhow, about a month or so after, as I said, my job was physical, and I realized the more I walk, I didn't have any feeling in my left leg. I kept getting the therapy, and Jackie quarreling with me about the surgery. Okay. They sent me over to the hospital, and the surgeon, Mr. Gill, said, this is bad. You have to get this. I said, no, I'm just praying about it. He said, you have to get the surgery. Now, what I'm saying, so we think that the doctors learn to do these things on their own, but they're led by God, and we have to realize that. Anyhow, to make a long story short and not to keep up any more time, I decided I'll get the surgery because I don't have any feeling in my toes, anything. Went, got prepared for the surgery and everything. Anesthesiologist came in. He said, Patricia, I have to talk to you before I give you the medication. He said, you're going to be lying on your face for about 10 hours. I said, and why are you telling me this? He said, there's a possibility you can go blind during the surgery. He said, I'll leave you. And he said, because we have to work on your spine, I will leave you here and you can think about it. I tell him I don't think I want this surgery. He said, no, I'll leave you and let you think about it. I started praying, and I didn't doubt God, but faith. I didn't have any faith then. And I started praying. And as the young lady said just now, this warmth came over me, my whole body. And all I heard, how do you think that these doctors have the knowledge, the surgeons, to do what they are doing? Haven't I not told you I will never leave you or forsake you? I mean, as clear as we are here speaking now, I heard that. And I told the anesthesiologist, come, I'm ready. I am here today to tell you, have faith in God. Trust God. I could not wear heels for about 2 years. And after my surgery, I could not walk for about a month. I had to learn to walk all over again like a baby, step by step. And here I am this morning walking in heels. Thank you.
There is somewhere in the book of James where it says, faith without works is dead. Because it is through our working that faith becomes perfect. There are times when we will lose faith. There are times when faith is low. That is where the third aspect of this comes into play. Because God has discovered us where we are. And if we've made a decision, then the decision has to follow. And you don't follow anybody that you don't trust. We are called to put our trust in God totally. To just let go and allow God to lead, to direct. Because God is calling us from things, God is leading us to others. When we trust, that is the exercise of faith. Okay? When I came here this morning, I decided to preach short. And the sermon that I had, I put it aside and I sat on my desk and I wrote another sermon. And that too came from the voice of God. Because it is not necessarily what I want, but what God wants. It is not necessarily what I want to say, but what God wants to be heard. And I don't think I could have said half of what you said, but it is exactly what I meant. The thing is, we are called then to say to others, because there are persons who doubt God. There are persons who don't necessarily have faith. We all have a story to tell. Not for telling a story's sake, but a story about God. I will invite you now to turn to hymn 530. You can stay as you are, you can kneel, you can do whatever you want to do. And we will offer this hymn as a prayer that we mean and not just will sing. 530. And we sing it loudly. Master, speak thy